Welcome to Holger Levsen and Mattia Rizzolo. Enjoy.
Hello everybody, I'm Holger Levsen and I'm talking about reproducible builds for Bullseye, Bookworm and beyond today. Or where we come from or where we're going. Maybe also the last mile and other light years ahead. Or I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Welcome to everybody in Kosovo and everybody wherever you are. This is a pre-recorded remote talk. I miss you, Debian people. Please enjoy DebConf 22. Looking forward to see you again eventually. And while I give the talk is not my work, but the work of, I'm presenting the work of many people. Some of them are listed here. If you are not listed here, and you should be, please tell us. We'll add you there. And now, who I am. Well, I'm Holger Levsen, or Holger at Debian.org, Debian user since 1995, contributing since a bit more than 20 years. I'm located in Hamburg in Germany, and I've been working on reproducible builds since 2014. And I've uploaded 10% of all the source package in Debian Buster. And I've uploaded almost 10% of all the source packages in Debian Bookworm. I'll explain in a second. Reproducible builds. Introduction. Who doesn't know about reproducible builds, why and how? Looking at you, this doesn't work. I'll explain. The problem is really, most of you will hear about it. Free software has source code freely available, but most people install precompiled binaries, and no one really knows whether they are really correspondent, whether the binary was built from the source. And as a result, there are various classes of supply chain attacks. And the solution we came up is to enable anyone to independently verify that a given source produces bit-by-bit identical results. So reproducible builds are an important building block in making supply chains more secure, nothing more and nothing less. If the software is still crappy, it's still crappy. We just make sure the build is fine, basically. And as a side effect, you can only be sure that a binary is free software if it has been reproduced. Someone else's binary is only certainly free software if it's reproducible, because then you know this binary comes from the source. What does that mean? When is a build reproducible? We define this as build is reproducible if given the same source code, build environment, and build instructions, any party can recreate bit-by-bit identical copies of all specified artifacts. That's our definition. Pretty simple. We also define artifact and build environment and build instruction and source code. This is all documented in this URL. It's a pretty short definition. Please refer to this when you want to define what we think reproducible builds are. And today I will mostly ignore why and how to do such builds. I just mentioned it has been widely understood as a problem. Even the White House is aware. There was this press release about securing the supply chain with $4 billion or something. And there are many cases we gave in previous talks about various kind of attacks which we try to mitigate against. Today I will just give an overview about various projects and then explain the situation in Debian. This is our website. So other projects than Debian, as I understand it. Tails was easy. There's just one ISO. You solve the instructions how to build it. You get a hash, and then you can rebuild it. But as I understand it, it's not been done systematically. Arch has rebuilders, but similar to Debian, lacks user tools and other integration. Arch is pretty much reproducible, the same amount of percent as Debian is, more or less. SUSE has an active development by one person, but it's not enabled by default on their official builds. So they could do it in theory, but don't do it in practice. Other projects, NixOS, they have this R13Y.com, reproducibility.com, and their minimal installation image is reproducible. Same with Geeks. It's also reproducible by design like NixOS. There's a tool called Geeks Challenge, and most of it is reproducible. Yocto has support for reproducible images, but Yocto is a source project, basically. You can create your own images, and then they are reproducible. F-Droid supports reproducible builds, but there's no UI. You need to manually crawl a web page, nor are there any promises which packages are reproducible or anything. Also, there was that's not what I wanted. There was a problem with the one application, the Corona Contact Tracing Germany. They had an update, a new version, and they could not deploy it because it was not reproducible. So that's a problem generally we need to solve, or we need to decide what to do. If there's an update, what shall we do if it's not reproducible? About the F-Droid problems, the known user interfaces, there was an interview Hans Steiner recently gave, and he gave nice pointers how people can help F-Droid to make that reproducible meaningful for the users. Alpine has basic support. FreeBSD, NetBSD, OpenE all have basic support, but no one is working on it. And Fedora, Red Hat, Ubuntu, it seems nobody is interested. Ubuntu, of course, has mostly the same properties as Debian, so if somebody wants to work on that, that should be easy. And so, yeah, many projects support reproducibles by now, but it's unclear what that means, how it's enforced, and how users can know and be confident. We still haven't found what we're looking for. And because it's really hard, and without 100% reproducibility, it's basically impossible to do a sensible user interface. Because what do you want to present the users? This package is not installable. Do you really want to install it? Well, yeah, we don't know. But with 100%, you can just say, just reproducible packages, but we are not there yet, and it will take some time to get there. Some more tips, which might not everybody know. I probably didn't backdoor this. It's a nice project from KPC-YRD. He's a Arch Linux developer mostly, but also working on other stuff. And he made a fine manual, simple hello world in Rust. Then introductions how to reproduce the ELF binary, reproducing a Docker image, and reproducing an Arch Linux package out of this. And this is a nice food for thought. I suggest everybody should read this. It's really short, like, I don't know, 10 minutes reading time. More time to understand. And Bernhard Wiedemann made a package, the unreproducible package, where he collects many problems which can occur, which can make a package unreproducible, because it's easier to show what makes the package unreproducible than what makes the package reproducible. And of course, the documentation we have on reproduciblebuilds.org. So about Debian, which is, I guess, why you are here. Reproducible builds were first discussed at DebConf 13, the BOF hosted by Lunar. DebConf 14 had another BOF. That's almost 10 years ago. And at the end of 2014, we had automated test builds. At FOSDEM 2015, Luna and me held a talk how to get the wider community involved, which I think was pretty nice. And we had Diffoscope in 2015. Before it was called DebBinDiff, and then it was renamed to Diffoscope, and now we are released 219, I think, and it's got a pretty big community by now, and it's really cool. And we had the first Reproducible Builds Summit at the end of 2015 in Athens. And we haven't, then the last 2 years, due to the plague, we didn't have any summits. This year we'll try another one, maybe smaller, at the beginning of November in Italy. So in DebConf 15, we had 4 people giving the talk. So on the picture, you see Dole, Luna, and behind the guy with the green hair, I think is Lambi, and the guy with the green hair is probably me. Also, we had a BOF in Heidelberg 2015. That was the beginning of the stretch cycle, and we were curious how we would manage to get this done. And then we gave talks. Many of you have seen such a talk. And yeah, I feel I've given warnings that the next Debian release will not be reproducible for years. And that's actually a quote from last year, or maybe the year before even. But I still feel fine. And so, yeah, why am I frustrated and happy? Because I'm frustrated. I've given these warnings for years, and we're still not there. But I still feel fine, because we make progress. So stretch, reproducible in theory, but not in practice. The depackage patch landed like very shortly before the release, so most packages were not built with it, and it was in theory. Buster, we could be reproducible, but we are not released because we didn't rebuild, we didn't have the build info files, and we were not there. And Bullseye, yeah, we are almost there, but not really. We lack some build info files still, and snapshot. I'll get to that. So yeah, we almost made it for Bullseye, and maybe we'll make it for Bookworm with some meaningful reproducibility. So the 2 last slides were again from last year. What does meaningful usable reproducibility mean? And what about Trixie? I still haven't found what I'm looking for. So Debian issues in depth. Heard about this 93% reproducibility, and I'm going to call it a lie. Or rather, CI result, continuous integration. I'll explain what's wrong with that in a moment, but first, let's say why this 93% is neither a lie nor useless. Because we file lots of bugs. So if you look here, this are 20,000 bugs, and most of them are closed. So there's good work coming from our effort. But it mostly fails to build from source bugs. So if you exclude them, which we've done here, we've only 3,500 bugs, and those are actually reproducibility issues, and most of them are fixed, except for 300 or 400, which is pretty good. So we are tracking this since 2014. And the number 93 was wrong, or from 2 years ago. We are now at 96% reproducibility for Bullseye in CI results. That's 2% more than for Buster, or almost 3,000 more reproducible packages. 3,000 packages sounds better than 2%. And even more impressive, we solved 1/3 of the remaining 6% Buster had. So 33% progress. Great. But did I say Bullseye? Yes, I said Bullseye, because 4 weeks ago, we were at 94.8 CI for Bookworm, down from 96 for Bullseye. And that's yay, but less than we were at Buster. And also less than September, because We used to be at 94, and now we're at 93 for AIM64. Bit better for ARM64, but why? What happened? So if we look here, we see here, and then I looked at the package set and I found Haskell. And something happened with Haskell in here, it's early July probably. Then suddenly all of Haskell started to fail to build from source. I haven't investigated why this happened, but somebody might know and find out and tell me after the talk or the next days. Anyhow, as I said, this is CI results, and we are only building but not rebuilding. We are not comparing the results with what Debian distributes on FTP Debian.org. Because until recently, we had two main blockers for these rebuilders. We had several thousand packages without build info files. I fixed most of them in February 2021, and now in June 2022, I uploaded again 500 packages with no source changes, so the build info files were created on the build deed. And now we are down to 1 tomorrow. Today, when I'm recording this, still 5, but tomorrow it's only 1, source NFFT. That will migrate soon or will be removed. And then we have all packages in Bookworm have build info files. And then the only packages in Debian without build info files are the one coming uploaded to unstable, and that's either because maintainers do binary uploads or because maintainers need to go through new, and then a package comes from new to unstable and doesn't have a build info file, but it will not migrate to testing, and so I don't care. And the other problem is that snapshot Debian.org was and is unusable for rebuilds. That has been fixed by Frederick, Perrier, and Josh since June 21. There's now a partial mirror of snapshot for AMD64 only, and only going back to 2019. I'll explain that in a second. I said this, and we also have a proof of concept for a rebuilder, also from Frederick Perrier, which I show graphs in a second. Sadly, this rebuilder is down at the moment, and also one rebuilder is not enough. It's a good start, but it's not good. So what has Frederick done with this? He has these, and there you can see this is the status for Bookworm Build Essential for AMD64 all. Reproducibility as compared to what we distribute on FTP Debian.org. So it's only 81%, but there's 11% pending. So it's not that bad. It's actually pretty good because this is actually real-world data. And for key packages, it looks basically the same. The full suite looks even better because there's more packages which are repetitive. And for Build Essential, it's essentially just Linux and GCC, which are not reproducible, which is good, but it's also a big blocker. And that is currently only for AMD64, because only our snapshot mirror is AMD64. And it's only one rebuilder running on Frederick's resources and not on Debian resources, but that's a minor issue. Which doesn't work, stupid work. But this AMD64 only problem is harder. And so far this has all been done by Frederick. I'm very thankful for that, Frederick, and I would say sorry not having found the time to really dig into this deeper. This is the thing we need to work on now. So why did we work around snapshot Debian.org? Because we need a working snapshot Debian.org, else we cannot have reproducible Debian because we need all these old snapshots. And while snapshot.debian.org works to download one package from whenever, it doesn't really work to create base systems out of it or download many packages. It doesn't scale. And right now, as the builder from Frederick is down, also his snapshot copy is down, and we have prepared one, but that's not properly up. So at the moment, that is unfortunate for real builders, but should be fixed next month, I say. So what problems are there with snapshot.debian.org? They are explained in this funding project where we want to find more resources to work on the remaining problems of our snapshot mirror. The main problem, we want to move our snapshot mirror to hardware hosted at OSU, Open Source University, Oregon State University Open Source Labs. We have hardware there, it's just not set up yet. And we want to host ARM64 at least. Why we cannot do this is described in this project funding proposal that also has lists to the bugs we filed against snapshot.debian.org, because it doesn't scale, and there are bugs filed explaining why it doesn't scale, how this has been worked around. That's all in this URL. So, yes, for AMD64 we have a result, but not for ARM64 and not for the other architectures. So there's two steps now: getting back Frederick's snapshot mirror for AMD64, and then extending this for other architectures. We also had problems with build info files. First, we had these 3,000 packages, or more than 3,000 packages, with the help of David Bremer and Ivo Decker. I found them, identified them, and just uploaded them. And there were just new ones coming, but they don't migrate to testing, so I don't care. And build info Debian net is just a proof of concept. There are some problems with duck. We worked around them. It works. It's brittle, but it works. Also, with build info files, DPG keys expire, so we just ignore them. In the beginning, we had the plan of signed build info files, but in practice, the signatures expire, and we don't really care because we have the sources are signed. We know these signatures, and we know which binaries we expect, because we expect binaries which are distributed from FTP Debian.org. So if the sources and the results are signed, we don't care whether the build info files are not signed. And then meaningful reproducibility of Debian is still not possible, because Linux GCC and zlibc are our current blockers getting build essentially reproducible in Bookworm. And Debian installer images are not reproducible in Bullseye. Debian live images are not reproducible in Bullseye. And yeah, sadly, Bullseye was not a typo. Because, Debian installer images are reproducible on AMD64 when built from Git, as shown by Roland Klobus. Though we would like to do automated testing of DI images for SID and testing, because then we can see, well, the patch is made and it really works, but there are no DI images for testing. So we can just build from Git and then hope on release. That's unfortunate, but current state. Similar Debian Live. Debian Live images are reproducible using live build as shown by Roland Klobus again. Because even if we have unreproducible packages, we can just make a reproducible package installation out of it, similar what Tails does. But the future of Debian Live image is uncertain, because live builds there's live build and another tool for live building, and the one is written in Bash, which the image team doesn't want, and the other is broken because it uses Python 2. So at the moment we have three choices: no live images, unreproducible ones, or reproducible ones. I guess it's clear what I prefer. And more on DI and live images, Roland gave a talk at the Debian reunion in Hamburg about his efforts to revive the live images. Also, Roland and Phil Hens are working together to get these images tested for functionality as well, using OpenQA. So then we also not only know they build, they are reproducible, but they work. And right now, while this talk is being broadcasted, there's also a WOF session about Debian installer and images team. I'm not sure whether live images will be covered there, but that's the status. So other issues we have in the release team area, we are very happy that testing migration is blocked for binary uploads. We very much like the idea of accelerating migration for reproducibility. And for Debian policy, now it's too early for a must. Packages must be reproducible, but maybe for Trixie, we can have must not regress. So if it was reproducible once, then don't regress. But then maybe there's a security update coming, and we would like to regress on the reproducibility to get the fix in. Or maybe we say, nah, such fixes are not good. I don't know. Other issues which are not really that much of concern to us now, but more Salsa CI, repo test is basically unmaintained upstream. And I'm mentioning this here because Salsa CI relies on repo test a bit, or uses that heavily. And people expect bugs to be fixed, and this is not really happening. So if you know Python and want to get involved in repo test, please do. So our goals for Bullseye, which freezes in 6 months, are 0 packages without build info files, almost there. Build essential reproducible, Linux, GCC, glibc. DI images reproducible, because they have been reproducible in Git since more than 2 years. They were reproducible for the Bullseye release, but we failed. For the title should say Bookworm goals. Bookworm goals. And live images we want reproducible. And we want more arts in our snapshots. And second rebuilder on a third would be nice. For Trixie, the release after Bookworm, we would like snapshot Debian.org to be usable for mass rebuilds by many users for all architectures. We can operate our own mirror, but if the Debian mirror doesn't scale, we should fix that at the source. And we want more rebuilders instead of more CI builders. That's also my question for, can you test RISC-64 or whatever, or any RISC-V or any other architecture? Yes, we could, but we don't want CI builds, we want rebuilders, and for rebuilders we need snapshot, and snapshot needs to be fixed. And currently we have 292 patches submitted with reproducible build fixes. We would like them all to be applied, 0 bugs left. So my proposal is Trixie will freeze in 2 years from now. So that's 100 weeks. Also, we need 3 NMUs per week uploaded to delayed 15. That's my proposal, to just tell the maintainers, here we have the patch, please pick it, or you can also throw away our artworks, but I want to be more aggressive in MMUing. And we would like up to warm when installing packages that are not reproducible, as long as we have unreproducible packages in a stable release, which I think we will have for Trixie. Build info files known and used by Duck would be nice to get rid of our workarounds, but we can live with the workarounds. And for after Trixie, we have also some goals. I still haven't found what I'm looking for, which should mean we are still finding out what is really sensible for a user experience. We would like 100% reproducible packages eventually, and distributed images, DI images, live images, CD images, whatever, NetInst images, they should all be reproducible. And for Trixie +1, and maybe we can kick out all non-reproducible packages already. What else? I don't know. A livable planet would be nice, but it's kind of off topic for this talk, but I thought I mentioned it. We really need to do something as humanity about other things than reproducible builds as well. Yes. Thank you for listening to this talk. Thanks for your work. And do you think reproducible builds should happen? If so, please pick one of these bugs, do an MMU, one per month, one per half a year. We need your help. Or apply the patches to your packages. This is a good resource for Debian also. I'm confident we'll get there eventually, but I know it will not be Bookworm, sadly. So Trixie! And now have fun with Mattia and the question and answer session. I'll be watching on IRC. Enjoy DebConf. Have fun.
For your wonderful talk. So now, time for questions.
I would like to add one thing to what Holger said. He was mentioning getting a testing for reproducible regression. I was actually talking with Elbrus like yesterday, I think, about this. So we are actually working toward doing that, and it should happen. Also, that a bunch of failures for Haskell packages is due to Haskell people doing a GHC uncoordinated transition and breaking all of Haskell. But that will be fixed, of course. You.
How realistic would you think is the idea of reproducing a stable release out of that stable release without having to download binaries that are 4 years old from snapshot something? Can we just bin NMU everything that depends on something oldish just before the release and then have the release reproduce itself?
I mean, we can totally do that. That's kind of a change in paradigm of what Debian is doing, because I think we still have like binaries from a decade ago, or maybe not anymore since Holger NMU'd everything, but we have never done mass rebuilds inside the archive for this, so that's probably something for... We
don't have to rebuild everything, we just have to rebuild the parts that
haven't changed since the last
changes. Yeah. So just try to rebuild it with current GCC, and if it still matches, you don't have to rebuild it, and otherwise just do it.
I suspect that we can probably try some things in that area, yes. I'm not really sure like what's, like you're trying to make the release self-contained probably, kind of. Make sure you can binary reproducible the whole release, kind of.
Yeah, make the release self-contained. Yeah. At the moment, we are relying on external stuff,
yes,
which would be nice if we would not have had to.
Yeah, I suppose we can work on towards that as well. Yes. I don't think anybody is working towards that thing, but we should probably at least gather some data, try to rebuild with the current stuff and compare. Sure, we can do
I
that.
might try playing with that. Yeah.
I mean, we can discuss it sometime.
Does someone else would like to share a question or a comment?
Thank you. It happened that a package which was reproducible stopped to be reproducible because new variations were introduced in ReproTest. Do you think we've got a solid enough definition of reproducibility? Or will the goalpost move in the future?
I don't think we changed what we have varied in the last 2 years, probably. Are you talking about something recent?
No, it's not a recent
okay. So currently there is one particular variation that is kind of we are not fully agreed on, which is the build path variations. And so that's the one variation that is kind of tricky. But besides that, I think it's pretty solid what we are varying. It's not really codified. Like also Holger shared the definition that we wrote that just says build environment. That is like given the same set of build environment, but we are trying to actually vary the build environment. So it's not really defined at this time. My take on this is that we should totally define better what we are actually varying and within what kind of boundaries we are varying those details and actually codify that in policy, for example. Because policy also say it should be reproducible, whatever that means, which is like not good policy wording probably. Yes, we should totally define that. Like one of the things I was talking with Helbros is actually if making the build pattern changes actually propagate also in testing. So actually vary and let the build path vary and say that it shouldn't vary also the binary. Because I think we are actually pretty near to also accept the build path variation actually.
One thing which happened recently was the user merge changed the embedded path of shells and whatnot. So it broke quite a lot of packages, I think.
Yeah, we are verifying that. So when a WSR merge was first introduced, 4 years ago, I think, I don't know, we also noticed that it was breaking everything. So we are actually varying one build doing in a WSR merge system and the other build doing in a non-WSR merge system. And we caught a bunch of variation in the packages that were varying, like embedding and the position of the RM binary, for example, that was common. Not useful. I don't know why would anybody do that, but it was happening. Yeah, but we caught them, and I think now nothing is actually varying across WSR merged and non-WSR merged. So got it. I think it was.
So, are there any statistics on which variation causes how many failures? Like, if, let's say, the build path is causing that many issues, I could just not vary it and try to see if it's reproducible then. So to get an, I think at the moment these 93 or something % are some worst case scenario, but we could also try to get a best case number.
Right. So currently build path is quite special because we are doing bookworm testing without the build path variation, and we are doing unstable builds with the build path variation. So you can actually get to see the difference here in where bookworm is 93, which is pretty much what Holger was saying, whereas unstable is 81. So that difference is only due to build path variation.
Okay, that bad. Okay.
Yeah, but so finding what variation is causing what is kind of hard because all packages do different things. But like we have this list of like these are a bunch of packages that are hard coding the build path. But if you actually open these, so actually these used to do that, but they're not anymore. So these are all packages that were embedding in the build path, and due to like mostly toolchain changes, they are not anymore. But there are still like 600 something packages that still do. And this is not even all. There are some in other categories. But these are mostly toolchain stuff that are going to be fixed. Like there are not in this list. There is another list with a bunch of Golang packages that are embedding the build path. That's going to be fixed by one single package upload if once a patch applies. But for other variation, yes, there are other issues here that you can use to understand what variation is causing what. But it's all like, for example, this is timestamp stuff. But those are all small numbers that don't really matter anymore at this point, honestly. Like in the 30,000 packages in scale, like 30 packages, nothing. So, please.
Right. So you mentioned the problems with Pgp signatures.
Right.
And I think this is because currently what GNU-PG does is look at the certificate, see if it's valid now, and then verify the signature. And that's not really useful, because the question should be, was the certificate valid at the time the signature was made?
Right.
And once you do that, signature verification suddenly is a pure function. And I think with that, your problems should go away eventually.
All right. So the thing about the GPG signature in the build info file was kind of a best, like the state of the art we were kind of imagining many years ago, where the idea was that somebody would build a package and upload the build info, and then somebody else will take the build info, try to reproduce it, and sign the same file again, or I don't know, do some detached signature on the same file, and then upload the signature as a proof of verification that you actually tried to rebuild that package and obtain the same results. So that was the idea behind those GPG signatures. This is not quite happening. Like there is no infrastructure. Like there is a buildinfo.debian.net that actually takes a random building. You can do an HTTP post and with your signed build info, and it takes it. But that's a proof of concept, and it's not really, besides the proof of concept, there is nothing. So I think we are going to revise this decision of signing the build info files once they are actually also managed properly by Docker, because also Holger was mentioning that Docker doesn't do anything. So Docker currently takes the build info file and store inside some random directory in a non-accessible server, and it's just there. And you get to you need to dig into the file system to find it. There is no indexing. There is nothing. This is not really used for storage.
Okay.
So the idea is that once Docker also publishes the build info, it's probably time to start revising this decision and maybe do something with them. Because I personally think that thing we decided 5 years ago about signed build info, that's totally good. Needs some working out and tooling and advertising that now you can verify things. So like there was I think there was like Geeks Challenge, I think it was the tool that lets you try to rebuild and verify that it's actually the same. I think we should do something similar for Debian as well, like an apt test or something, and at that point you can sign and upload, for example, if you verify it correctly. Like it's something for the future, probably for Trixie +1 by the time we are taking. I hope that answers your questions. Thank you.
So thanks a lot, everybody. Last question?
More of a comment than a question.
Sure.
I'm really sorry, but thank you very much for all your work. I really appreciate the effort that Reproducible Builds have put in over the last however many years.
Thank you.
I appreciate the patches you send me as a package maintainer, and I try and apply them in a timely fashion. So just thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Jonathan, Matthew, everybody.